Isagi is perhaps the biggest egoist in Blue Lock. Bro would do literally anything to win and crush his opponents. But he wasn't always like this. We saw how Isagi was a literal wimp in the beginning and passed the ball to his teammate, who missed a legit tap-in. Now, have you guys ever wondered what if Isagi was an egoist from the beginning? Even before the story even began? How would that impact the storyline? In this video, we will witness Isagi's story as an egoist from the beginning. Isagi was born into a loving family who provided him everything he needed as a child. He lived a comfortable life filled with joy and support. But everything changed when he was around 6 or 7 years old. One day, as he sat glued to the television, he saw Noah, the world's best striker, scoring goals like a machine. That moment lit a spark in him. Isagi didn't understand tactics or formations at the time. All he knew was that he wanted to be like that man. Powerful, decisive, unstoppable. So he turned to his parents and asked for a football. They got him one without hesitation. And that's where everything began. Unlike the Isagi we know from the original timeline, who played for fun and believed in teamwork, this Isagi was different. From the very beginning, he was obsessed with scoring goals and winning. As he grew, his hunger only intensified. He joined a local community team and quickly gained attention. His relentless drive to score, his sharp instincts, and his refusal to pass unless absolutely necessary earned him the title of a prodigy. People admired his skill, but feared his ego. Then came high school. Isagi got into Ichinan High, hopeful that he'd finally find a team that matched his ambition. But to his disappointment, things were different. His coach emphasized teamwork, tiki-taka football, and passing plays that suffocated Isagi's individual freedom. He tried to force his playstyle, solo attacks, wild runs, shots from angles no one else would dare, but the coach benched him. With no other option, Isagi agreed to play as a midfielder. Even in this role, he made an impact. His spatial awareness and technique allowed him to make jaw-dropping passes, and soon enough, Ichinan found itself in the finals. The stage was set. The match began with Kira scoring a beautiful goal, putting the opposition in the lead. Isagi, still restricted to the midfield role, worked tirelessly. He delivered golden passes to his teammates, but they failed to finish again, and again, and again. The score remained 1-0, and the clock hit the 80th minute. At that moment, the coach called Isagi over, urging him to follow the tactical plan. More passing, more team play, but Isagi had had enough. He stepped back onto the field, not as a midfielder, not as a team player, but as a striker. The ball came to him just outside the box. He took a touch, faked a pass, and sent 2 defenders flying. With ice in his veins, he fired a rocket shot into the top corner. Goal! That goal wasn't just a score, it was a statement. The match eventually went to penalties and Ichinan lost. His teammates fell to the ground, devastated. But Isagi smiled, because for him, scoring a goal and losing was better than doing nothing and winning. In that moment, Isagi Yoichi was no longer just a player. He was an egoist, and his journey was just beginning. After the final match loss, Isagi went home with only one thing on his mind: that goal. It wasn't about trophies, teammates, or even praise. It was the thrill of taking control, making the choice, and rewriting the game with his own foot. From that moment on, Isagi didn't see football as a team sport. He saw it as a battlefield where only the strongest ego survives. So when a mysterious letter arrived inviting him to a secret program called Blue Lock, he didn't hesitate. While other players questioned its legitimacy, Isagi saw destiny. Just as Isagi reached Blue Lock, he came across a familiar face: Kira, the same guy who had scored against his team, the same guy who handed him that bitter defeat in the finals. Kira smiled and walked up to him. "That goal you scored, it was incredible. Why didn't you play like that from the start?" Isagi didn't say a word. He just stared at Kira with cold, calculating eyes. The look of someone who no longer cared for praise or explanation. After all this, ego appears there. Just like the original timeline, ego introduced the purpose of Blue Lock: to destroy Japan's football identity and create the world's greatest striker. While the others hesitated, confused and shocked by his words, Isagi stepped forward. No questions, no doubts, no fear. He walked towards the door with absolute certainty, and the others, like sheep, followed behind. The story had officially begun. In the original timeline, Isagi was ranked the lowest in his group. But this time, things were different. That final goal, his reputation as a prodigy, his hunger to score, it was enough to place him among the top 5 in Team Z. He was the one to watch. Ego explained the first test, a game of tag with a football. One player starts with the ball and must shoot it at another. The last person to get hit would be eliminated. As the timer started, the players started targeting each other. However, this time, Isagi wasn't a target. Instead, they all turned toward the weakest link, Igaguri. Isagi stood back at first, arms crossed, watching everything with a smirk. But as the clock ticked down and the final seconds approached, he stepped in. He didn't want to eliminate the weakest. He wanted to test the strongest. He grabbed the ball, scanned the field, and locked eyes with Kira. Without hesitation, he launched the ball, a powerful, pinpoint shot that smacked Kira right in the chest. Kira was out. The room fell silent. Isagi walked up to him, leaned in, and said, "You're not the striker I thought you were. You're just fodder, carried by your team." And with that, the egoist era of Yoichi Isagi had truly begun. After this, it is time for the first selection in which Team Z will go up against Baro's Team X. We all know what happened in the original timeline. The entire team was a mess, and Baro totally crushed them. Will things be any different in this alternate timeline? Well, unfortunately no. All the players will play selfishly, and they will all be crushed by Baro once again. Just like the original timeline, they will score a goal owing to Isagi's brilliance. After all this, Ego appears on the screen and tells Team Z that their conclusion is correct. Ego then changes the topic to the importance of having a weapon. Every striker carries a weapon that disrupts the opposite team's organization, making them yield and unable to move. Ego noted that every single elite striker carries their own unparalleled weapon. After figuring out all their weapons, it is time for the next match against Team Y. Before the match, the mood in the locker room wasn't just disappointment, it was confusion. No one knew what went wrong or how to fix it. That's when Isagi stood up. With cold confidence, he told the team exactly what was missing: leadership, and he had decided he was the one to lead. His announcement caught everyone off guard, especially Raichi, who immediately challenged him. "Why should we follow you?" he barked. Isagi's reply was sharp as he asserted that he is just better. The tension was thick, but no one could really argue. Still, to keep the team from falling apart, a compromise was made. Isagi would play as the main striker for the first 20 minutes of the next match. If he failed to make an impact, he'd drop back and play as a defender for the rest of the first selection. The next match kicked off, and Isagi wasted no time. Immediately, he forced a deadly duo with Bachra, who naturally gravitated towards Isagi's wild rhythm and confidence. The two tore through the opposing defense, and Isagi slammed in the opening goal with precision. Now marked as a threat, the opposing team tightened their defense around him. But Isagi wasn't just a striker, he had played midfield before. With his sharpened spatial awareness and elevated field vision, he made a stunning pass through to Bachra, who buried the second goal, 2-0. The team, even his teammates, were shocked. They hadn't expected this version of Isagi. Not just a goal-hungry machine, but a player who could control the entire field. But with that brilliance came fear. The others began to realize something dangerous. If Isagi continued to outshine them like this, he might move forward, and they might be left behind. Panic set in. Jealousy brewed. Raichi, unable to swallow his pride, stole the ball from Isagi mid-play, claiming it was his turn to shine. The old Isagi might have stepped back, let things play out. But this Isagi was different. He stepped back, watching in silence as the game continued. The moment Isagi loosened his grip on control, the cracks in Team Z began to surface. Without him setting the rhythm, everything fell apart. Passes went astray, opportunities slipped through their fingers, and the defense crumbled like paper. One goal, then another, and then another. In a matter of minutes, the 2-0 lead crumbled into a 5-3 loss. By the time Isagi stepped back into control, it was too late. He managed to score once more, but it wasn't enough. Team Z lost the match 5-3. As they walked off the field, Isagi didn't say a word, but everyone knew it. Without him, the team was nothing. And now, the pressure wasn't just on their opponents. It was on Team Z itself. What do you think will happen in the next match, now that Team Z has realized that they cannot survive without Isagi?